Hello and welcome to Board Game Gumbo. Today we're unboxing The Captain is Dead, Dangerous Planet from AEG Games. The original Captain is Dead game from AEG came out in 2014. This is not an expansion, however. It is a standalone game, so you don't need the base game or the original game to play this. It plays 2 to 7 players in about 60 to 90 minutes, and it is a cooperative game. In this game, your ship has crashed, the captain has died in the crash, and you're trying to get yourself and your crewmates off of a dangerous planet. Here's our rulebook here. It's pretty extensive. There are several different character roles you can choose from, and then obviously they explain all of them, so there's quite a lot for them to go through here. Essentially, all you're trying to do is repair the engine on your ship to get off the planet, but that requires you to collect a whole bunch of resources, and of course, there are things on the planet that don't want you collecting those resources. Here is our main board here, and it looks like you can see it pretty well on the camera. It's got a nice little glossy finish to some of the other details on it, the ship and the action spots, just to have them stand out a little bit, which is nice. So here you got your ship, a rating for your hull, which obviously you don't want your hull to be compromised. Here is the artifact track. The artifacts are what you're trying to gain during the course of the game, and they'll go on to these spots. Occasionally they'll unlock different things for you to use. Occasionally they'll make the enemies harder. So there are things to keep in count there. Here are your basic actions for your ship, so external scanners and comm system and so on. And there'll be cards that'll be placed here that'll give you more details about them. And then they tell you about the turn sequence here for each turn. So we've got quite a few boards of cardboard here, but most of them are relatively the same, have the same pieces on them. You've got these little tokens are out here, which represent the different resources you're trying to collect that will go onto your track up there that we showed earlier. You've got some pieces that represent the bugs that are on the planet, and these are just generic enemies. They have pretty basic movement. They move at the end of each round and they attack anything they run into, essentially. You've got some pieces for different equipment that you can set up. And you'll notice on these, as well as a lot of the other components we'll see later on, have these little iconographies on the bottom. The game is card driven as well as action driven. So this white grayish spot means that it takes an action to activate this blaster. And then these 3 specific cards, so 2 red and 1 blue, plus 1 action to activate the blaster. And of course the blaster does a specific thing, which is shoot a whole bunch of bugs. You've got some tunnel pieces. So these tunnel pieces will be, you'll set them up at the beginning of the game, and they have an unrevealed and a revealed side, and they are separated. You see that each one of these is 2 separate spots, and these will be set up like so, moving away from the shuttle. And this is essentially where you're trying to go to find these different resources that you need to repair your ship. And these all just punch out really simply. It's nice, thick cardboard. The graphics look pretty nice. I mean, the bugs are a little simple as far as graphics go, but you know, they get the job done. So we'll just move that off to the side. Again, there are several more of these, but they're all pretty much the same. We've got a few miscellaneous pieces, some cubes, and some discs just to track different things on the main board. We've got some player bases. These are the player bases. And then some acrylic pieces, and these will represent the different characters as well as the different objects that can be put out in place. So this is really interesting. I think it's a nice change from having just cardboard pieces to having these little acrylic pieces like so. And I'm probably not going to find the right hero for this base here, but you can see that these little acrylic pieces just slide into these bases like so. And now you've got, you know, it's something different from the cardboard pieces, and I quite like it myself. I like that the artwork stands out more than you would get on a cardboard piece. The last thing we have in the box is a couple decks of cards here. And again, a lot of this game is card play. So these cards are important to how the game itself plays. So first off, we have the cards for the different systems on the ship. So I pointed these out earlier over here. So now we have the cards for the teleporter. Tells you what it takes to use them. It takes an action. It takes, looks like it takes a bug or something of that nature, but allows you to teleport any player or tool to a revealed location. You have the con system, allows you to exchange cards. Scanners allow you to reveal alerts. And all of these have an online and then an offline mode. Obviously offline means you can't use it unless you use an action and 2 of these skills to repair it. And then you can flip it back over and start using it again. We've got some basic gear, which every player will start with just a random piece of basic gear, whether it be a grenade or a rifle or so on. And then you've got the skill cards themselves. So you've got command cards, tactical, science, engineering, and then you've got wild cards, which can be used as anything. And these just have a generic back, so you can't see what you're getting, but that's essentially all they have is the particular color. We've got some of the larger cards here. So one of the things that will happen every round is that you'll have to resolve an alert card. So there are alert cards here, and they range in difficulty from 1 to 3. Obviously, you're going to start with the 1s and then work through them. And you won't know what the alert is until it happens. And it tells you this one tells you to add 4 bugs to nest A. You can also override any alert card by playing 3 blue cards. And then as you go further, so this one is add 7 bugs. So they get more difficult as you go. Add 6 bugs to A and B. Next, we have the player cards. So at the beginning of the game, each player is going to choose. And there are, as you can see, quite a few roles to pick from. Each card gives you a couple different things as far as information-wise. One, you've got essentially your initiative, where you go in the order. You've got the number of actions that you have on your round. You potentially have some special ability. Some actually have multiple down here, but this one is when drawing skills from the computer, you draw 2, choose 1, and discard the other. They have a hand size, and then they have these 2 symbols on the right here. And these symbols are essentially automatic successes. Whenever you're doing a single action, if you're required to play these cards, you can act as if you have them, even if they aren't in your hand. So earlier we were talking about the alert cards. You can override an alert card, essentially discard it by playing 3 blue cards. The Admiral, however, has 3 blue cards to start with. So all he has to do is play a single blue card from his hand in order to override any alert, which is obviously pretty handy. But you've got quite a few different cards to choose from. They each have their own ability. This guy has 2 wild cards, which is really good. The Telepath has no cards, but he can give or take a skill card to or from another player in any location for an action. And he can use the skill count discounts of all other players in his location. So he doesn't personally have any discounts here, but he can use the skill discounts of anybody who's in the same spot he is, which is potentially very strong. And again, there are a lot of choices here. So I don't think that's going to be a problem as far as, replayability. Now, the few cards we have here, we've got a few little cheat sheets here. They tell you the turn sequence, which is pretty straightforward. Every player spends their actions, then you activate devices, then you advance bugs, and then you resolve the alert card. That's all you're going to do each turn. And then on the back here, it just gives you a little guide to each of the special units you can put out, the blasters and the railguns, what have you, and what they do. These tell you the zapper shoots 3 targets up to 3 spaces away. The blaster shoots 2 targets up to 6 spaces away, and so on. The last thing you have here are relic cards. So relics are something that you can gain through the course of the game. As you find more and more of these resources and put them on your board, you will eventually unlock relics. And these are just a random draw. You're going to shuffle them up and draw one, and then you'll have its ability for the rest of the game. So here you found a dark crystal. You have to spend 2 actions and a wild card, but you get to fill your hand with random skill cards from the skill deck. And it says this ability is available to all players for the rest of the game. So obviously something handy to have around. And that's it. That's everything you're going to get in a copy of The Captain is Dead, Dangerous Planet from AEG Games.